to the deep dive. You send us sources, and we dive deep. We try to bring you the key insights, basically. Think of it like your shortcut to getting informed.
Yeah, uncovering those interesting bits without you having to sift through everything.
Exactly. And today, we're tackling something really practical, something that came straight from you, the listener.
That's right. For this deep dive, we're digging into a YouTube video transcript. It's called Learn English Quickly with Podcast English Learning Conversation Episode 1
Okay.
from the English Podcast Zone channel. And it's all about everyday English.
Which, let's be honest, can be way trickier than the grammar book stuff, right?
Absolutely. So our mission here, if you like,
Go on.
is to pull out the really useful language bits from this video.
Yeah.
It focuses on a situation we can probably all relate to.
Oh, yeah? Which is
That slightly, awkward moment when you forget someone's name.
the cringe moment. Been there.
Exactly. So it's about understanding the English you'd actually use, chatting with people, without getting bogged down in formal rules or feeling overwhelmed.
Makes sense. So the YouTube video, it has two hosts, Marco and Erica.
Yeah, Marco and Erica. And they use this common, slightly embarrassing scenario. This character, Nick, he meets Anna again after a conference, but
Can't remember her name.
bingo. And they use that to teach real, everyday English phrases.
Okay, let's jump in then. The video starts with this dialogue, Nick and Anna. What's the setup there?
So the main thing is Nick and Anna, they're meeting again. They were at the same conference.
Right?
Nick knows he met her, remembers chatting, but the name, poof, gone.
Total blank. Oh, that feeling. We've all had that, haven't we?
Definitely. And the video transcript mentions they play this dialogue pretty fast the first time.
Why do that? Seems counterintuitive for learners, maybe.
Well, I think the idea is to mirror how you often encounter a language initially. It can feel like a blur, right?
True. Just a stream of sounds.
Exactly. So they play at natural speed first, and they tell learners, hey, don't worry if you don't get it all. It sort of sets the scene.
Like a baseline exposure.
Precisely. An initial, maybe slightly overwhelming listen, then they break it down.
Okay, that makes sense. So after that quick listen, they go into a section called Language Takeaways.
Yes. And this is where they really dissect specific phrases from the dialogue.
Explain what they mean, how to use them.
Exactly that. It's the practical bit, getting down to the useful vocabulary for everyday chats.
Gotcha. And the first one they highlight is in a bit of a hurry. What's the deal with that phrase?
Well, in a bit of a hurry is just a really common, quite polite way to say, you don't have much time.
You need to move quickly.
Right. The video gives 3 examples, like, can you drive faster? I'm in a bit of a hurry.
Oh, okay.
Or, I can't talk right now. I'm in a bit of a hurry. And, I'm in a bit of a hurry, so I'll check these files later.
Yeah, concise. Gets the point across without being rude. I use that one.
Me too. Then the next phrase they pulled out was contact details.
Okay. Seems straightforward.
It is, pretty much. Just means the info someone needs to get in touch. Name, phone number, email.
Stuff on a business card, basically.
Exactly. The essentials for staying connected.
Makes sense. And the third language takeaway sounded a bit more idiomatic. Slipped my mind.
Yeah, yes. Slipped my mind. That's a great one. It's a more casual way to say you forgot something.
Accidentally forgot?
Yeah, usually unintentionally. The examples were, sorry, I forgot to respond to your email. It just slipped my mind.
Okay.
And talking about a birthday, it completely slipped my mind. It kind of suggests it wasn't deliberate, just a lapse.
Right. Softens it a bit. Takes the edge off saying, I forgot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It sounds less like you messed up somehow.
Okay. Those are definitely useful. So after those takeaways, the video has a section called Putting It Together. What's the aim there?
Putting it together is more about how words and phrases connect, how they work together in flowing conversation.
So not just definitions, but usage.
Right. How they combine to sound natural, and how context can tweak the meaning a bit.
Got it. And the first phrase they tackled there was around here. How does that work?
Around here basically means close by in this area. The example question was, is there a bank around here?
Looking for one nearby?
Yep. And they helpfully contrasted it with related phrases like right around the corner, which means super close, next street maybe, and around there, which is more general, like the example of Los Angeles is great, I used to live around there, doesn't mean right there, just in that vicinity.
So subtle differences in proximity based on the preposition, that's useful.
It is. Shows how flexible a simple word like around can be.
Okay, what else was in putting it together?
The other key phrase was terrible with.
I think I know this one. Like you're bad at something.
Exactly. You're very bad at it. The examples were good. You're terrible with numbers, can't even remember your own phone number.
Or, I'm terrible with directions, always getting lost.
Yes. And I'm terrible with faces, can never remember people. And what was great was the hosts, Marco and Erica, they actually chimed in.
Oh, yeah.
Marco said he's terrible with numbers. Erica admitted she's terrible with faces.
Oh, that's brilliant. Makes it so much more relatable, doesn't it?
Totally. Feels less like a lecture when the teachers admit they struggle too.
For sure. Okay, so after putting it together, they played the Nick and Anna dialogue again, but slower.
That's right. Much slower this time.
What's the value in that, do you think? Hearing it again slowly.
Well, after you've had the tricky phrases explained,
Mm-hmm.
hearing it slowly lets you actually pick them out, hear the individual words more clearly. It reinforces the learning.
Builds confidence, maybe? Ah, I do understand this now.
Exactly. Like reviewing notes after a class. Helps it sink in.
Okay. Then came the Fluency Builder section. What's that focused on?
Fluency Builder is about sounding more natural, taking phrases that are grammatically okay, but maybe a bit stiff.
And making them sound more like how people actually talk.
Precisely. Adding those little touches that make you sound less like a textbook and more fluent.
And the example they used was, how's it going? Why that one?
Well, how's it going
Right.
is just super common, right? Very natural greeting, especially in formal chats.
More casual than, how are you? Or how are you doing?
Often, yeah, it can sound a bit more relaxed. And they pointed out that Anna uses it right at the start of the dialogue with Nick.
So showing it in action.
Yep. Real-world usage.
It's those little things that make a difference, isn't it? And wasn't there a personal story here, too? From Marco?
Yes. Marco shared this story about being at a family reunion and completely blanking on a relative's name.
Oh, no. Awkward?
Totally awkward, but he used it to show how common these slipped my mind moments are, tying it back to the Nick and Anna situation.
Mm-hmm.
Very relatable embarrassment.
I can feel the secondhand cringe. And Erica had some practical tips for that name-forgetting thing, especially at work.
She did, yeah.
Yeah.
Really smart tips. One was to just politely ask for their business card.
Clever. Lets you see the name without asking.
Exactly. The other was to ask them to spell out their email address.
Because the name's usually in there.
Usually, yeah. Both are pretty smooth ways to handle it without admitting you forgot. Face-saving tactics.
Those are genuinely useful workarounds. Okay, so after the fluency tips, they played the dialogue again. Third time.
Third time's the charm. Yes, one last playthrough at natural speed again.
And the point of that listen.
It's like a final check-in for the learner. After all the explanation, the slow listening, hearing it at normal speed again lets you see how much more you understand now compared to the first time.
Right. Kind of measures your progress through the lesson.
Yeah, solidifies the listening comprehension.
Okay, got it. And the very last part of the video was the English Pod audio review. What was that about?
That was basically a vocabulary quiz, a recall exercise.
How did it work?
The hosts would give a definition or maybe a slightly more formal way of saying something.
And the listener had to remember the target phrase from the lesson.
Exactly, just reinforcing the key vocabulary.
Okay, maybe we should quickly run through some of those pairings, just to lock them in.
Good idea. So a casual how are you could be?
How's it going?
Right. Close to here is,
Around here.
if it's on the next street,
Go around the corner.
moving quickly, having no time.
In a bit of a hurry.
The info needed to contact someone, phone, email,
Her contact detail.
something's been forgotten.
It slipped my mind.
If you're bad at something,
You're terrible with it.
and close to there, not here.
Around there.
Good. And you mentioned there were a few extras in the review, terms not directly in the main dialogue.
That's right, yeah. They expanded a bit. Like, to know and remember someone you've seen before.
That's to recognize.
Someone you know, but not a close friend.
An acquaintance.
Another way to say, move quickly, not have much time. Similar to, in a bit of a hurry.
In a rush.
Yep,
And forgetting things easily.
that would be forgetful. All related to the theme.
And crucially, that review part also gave example sentences for these. Oh yeah, absolutely key. For instance, around here. Excuse me, is there a bakery around here?
Simple, practical.
For in a bit of a hurry. I'm in a bit of a hurry now, so I will talk to you later.
Mm-hmm.
Contact details. Here is my card with all my contact details.
Sorry.
Slipped my mind. I'm sorry I forgot to respond to your email. It just slipped my mind.
Takes the sting out of it.
And I am terrible with directions. I always get lost. Showing it in a real sentence makes such a difference.
Definitely helps you see how you might actually use it. Okay, wow. That was a pretty thorough look inside that English podcast zone video.
It covered a lot in one episode.
So let's boil it down. For you, our listener, what are the really big takeaways from this deep dive today?
I think the main thing is just getting a bunch of really practical, everyday English phrases, stuff you can actually use.
Especially for those slightly awkward moments, maybe.
Exactly. Like saying you're short on time, or swapping contact info, or, crucially, what to say when a name just vanishes.
That slipped my mind moment. Mm-hmm. And also how to talk about things you're good or bad at, using that terrible with structure.
So hopefully, diving into this specific lesson has given you, the listener, a clearer picture of how these common expressions work in real life.
Yeah, maybe giving you a few tools, a bit more confidence for navigating those social chats in English.
Absolutely. And maybe leaves you with a final thought to ponder.
Oh.
Well, thinking about that embarrassing name-forgetting scenario, have you ever been in that exact spot, that moment of panic?
Oh, definitely.
And beyond what we talked about today, what other phrases or maybe little tricks do you find useful? Either for smoothing over social interactions or just for your own language learning journey in general?
That's a good question. It makes you think about your own strategies, doesn't it? You know, all those little nuances that make language, well, endlessly fascinating to explore.